many years ago when I was a curriculum designer. I had to keep track of a bunch of research, contacts, information. I had a big task list. And it's at the point where, this is like in the mid 2000s. And I needed to get some software, something that I could work with digitally to keep track of all this stuff. And back then there were like the main player and pretty much the only kind of known player was Basecamp. And it was like so overdone for what I needed. I just needed something simple. And so I started searching a bunch of task trackers, to-do list apps. And there were very few compared to what there are today that could take notes. And I probably spent 2 full days looking, and I found one thing that was decent. And it was mainly because I gave up. I just gave up. There was one tool, and it's honestly, I said I probably installed 60 accounts. Signed up for 60 accounts. I'm just guessing. And I can only remember one other than Basecamp, because Basecamp is still around. I can only remember the name of one. And it was some indie developer who made a piece of a web app called Task Toy. And if that dude ever finds this video, this is all your fault. Whoever you are, I don't remember your name. This is all your fault. But Task Toy, and I don't even remember exactly how it worked, but I remember it had 4 quadrants. So it was really simple, rough days back on the internet. And it had a rectangle in each quadrant of the screen. And, none of us are rolling 1080p screens back then, or ultra wides or anything. It was a classic 4x3s. And there was it had a simple hierarchy. And this is about, we're getting to the edge of the cliff of what I remember. But you could have a task. And the guy, I remember saying, I might even found him on Hacker News. Actually. And he said, I wanted to take notes with my tasks. And so in one of those quadrants was notes, and the other one was tasks in some other organization, the way it kind of worked together with the other 2 quadrants. I don't remember exactly. But that was it. And that's the one. And I used that one for a while, actually. And it was free, just gave it away. But it was super simple. Didn't do hardly anything except that. Yeah, it's hard to remember because it was a long time ago. But I remember there were so many websites that were talking about how cool it was to, and this is a long time ago, so you got to keep that in mind. But I just remember so many sites were talking about how cool it was to keep track of your tasks. But it didn't feel like anybody gave a second, 2 seconds of thought to, well, what about all of the notes and things that you need to remember related to the task? Are we going to put that somewhere else? Because now I need 2 things, right? I could type in the task, and then you have to say check the Word document. That's what we had back then, and just, you started to feel the spiderwebby nature of this stuff, even all the way back then. Yeah. That's still a problem today. You can find some app and it still doesn't think about certain things that need to be in context. The proximity is significant. And in 2013, literally looking off the edge of the cliff, being there's no tools, waiting to see if something comes by. And I finally said, I have to do something about it. I have to do something. And I opened up Notepad++, because that's what it was back in the day, before the days of VS Code. Opened up Notepad++ and just got to work. And I built the interface within a week. Really polished interface within a week of everything that I wanted in this app. And because they didn't have tools like Figma back then. So a lot of you wireframe, and then you might do something, and I can't remember what tool. You might do something in Photoshop back in the day. I never did that. There was a tool back then, but I don't remember what it was, where you would do more than a wireframe and you'd get, you can get an interface or a mock-up. It's a mock-up tool. And you hand it over to developer. This is a pure demo. This actually loaded in the browser, and you can click around, and you can open up content and navigate in it. And it telegraphed the real experience, even though it wasn't a functioning app, and absolutely communicated like what this could be. And I've given the audience, a lot of the hacker types, the white hat hacker types, were super skeptical. What's happening with my data? Can I get my data out? They weren't interface people. They didn't care. These are people who lived in command lines. And, I realized, I showed it big on Hacker News. It's the wrong audience. That's another thing I learned. It's like not who I built it for. Not necessarily. And so there was a lot of questions and concerns that they had. And so that was kind of the initial reaction. And that was actually the first time, I was so naive back then. I was like, oh, everybody's going to love it. And, when you read 100 comments of criticism, it was a big wake-up call. And something happened to me that day. I don't know if I could put my finger on it right now, but something happened. And I discovered Notion. And the surrealist thing happened. It was weird, but this is not the case now. And this was 2018. I don't know when they launched, but when I saw their homepage, it was uncanny. It felt like they stole my console homepage. Now I don't know if they actually did. I don't think they did, but it felt that way because it was like they marketed themselves as the one tool for everything, like what I was trying to do in console. The different types of content all together in proximity, and they had this way of organizing pages that nobody had ever seen before. And that was the last nail in the coffin for console. That's when I gave up and I said, I'm done. I can't compete with this, at least not in that circumstance. And within a few months, I dissolved console, closed it down, and ended that chapter. And I went full-blown Notion.
What is full-blown Notion?
And I made this huge dashboard, and I made 12 to 15 different tables. Tables for procedures, tables for notes and documents, tables for client connections, and using it as a CRM, and cross-linked everything, and I built all the templates, and I had templates running in every table, and I built the ultimate Notion experience.
What was missing?
And then I started to see hairline fractures after using it for a few years in the experience. And one of the first things that I noticed was that with a table of 400, procedures in it, took a little bit to load. They probably have improved that. But then, where is this procedure? It was another fracture. And they have a search and a filter, and it's pretty good. But sometimes it was like, I know I wrote a procedure. I don't remember what it's called. I don't even remember much about it, except that I know that I need it right now. And I know it's related to something. But none of those search keywords worked. And I just and then I'd go to my dashboard sometimes. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And the dashboard did help because it helped create some level of something is over here and something is over there. But then getting in there, it was just one of the most like resistant kind of experiences in applications. Too much, there's so much data, and it's structured in a way that I was spending so much time looking for things. And then I didn't even mention all the time I spent just setting up the perfect experience. Like the productivity theater was real. And I noticed in my business, I would, like, one of the last things I tried to do was track leads that had responded from cold to warm and to closed. And then all the things that related to that. And it was just so cumbersome. And I would sometimes open my dashboard and just, I don't even know what to do right now. I just said, got to get rid of that sunk cost fallacy. I just said, Notion's not working. I know I've spent years in it, but it's just not, it didn't grow with me. It's not working. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And, sure enough, I can't help myself. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can bring Consol back from the dead. And so I opened up VS Code and I started coming up with some new designs, some new way to solve some of the problems that I was experiencing with Notion. And I had some cool stuff, but it wasn't really getting anywhere. There was nothing there that captured, I knew in my gut. And that's one of the things about design is, in your gut that something's working when you can feel it. I was on that whiteboard writing some stuff down for potentially resurrecting Consol from the dead, and feeling stuck, and maybe considering I'm going to put this away. And I turned away from the whiteboard to face you, who I'm facing now, to my machine, and immediately something popped into mind. It was from God Almighty. I truly believe in my heart He gave me inspiration. And I said, because one of the innovations in the other project that I started working on was called Dream State, which is the role-playing board game, was just moving all these tiles around. And, it's a game, right? So you have a map, and you have characters, and you have furniture and stuff, and you can drag them around, and it's really quite fun. And I just thought, what if I put my work on this map? Like, what if I just did that? And I don't know what it is about that, but it's sung to me. And when I started developing, I immediately went to design Opal like it was a tabletop role-playing game, except this one has gutters because, it's different experiences for work. You need to have a little separation from your stuff. And just putting my work on it. And what came through from Consol was, but you know what? You can click on 2, 3, 4, in my case, 4 or 5, because I have a big monitor, and just seeing them all open. And then going back to the grid, panning and zooming. And what I discovered was your brain doesn't just try to remember what things are called. Your brain remembers where things are, like the mind palace. You maybe have heard this, where if you imagine really hard in your brain, you're going to go grocery shopping, and you put the cheese on the mantle, and you put the milk on the couch, and you put the bread on top of the fish tank, or whatever it is. And when you go through this process, your brain then will not forget any of the items, even if you go up to many, 10s or 20s, because you've put them all in these strange places where they don't belong, or at least they have a visual cue of what they're next to and nearby. And that memory power needed to be captured, and that's what Opal does. The number one thing they're going to experience, what they're probably fighting, is you're going to be able to see everything on an endless desk. It's like a big desk. That's what Opal is. It's a big desk. You can create multiple desks, but primarily a big desk, and you can just put stuff on it. And everything is always on the first degree surface, just about. We do have a binder, and you could put things in the binder. And I have specific guidance on why you should use that. Like real quick, you have a weekly call and you take some notes, that should probably go in a binder. So you're not having, a year's worth of notes when you don't need it on. That's what a binder's for. But otherwise, like everything's on one layer, visible. You can always find it. Just drag to it. It's fast. You just go right to it. And your mind remembers where it is. And with the fences, you can categorize things within fences, and then soon we'll have landmarks to kind of make it more fun. But what happens is, even if you're not using all this content, right? Because this is what happens. With every tool. You put a whole bunch of content in there, but you actually only use a small percentage of it regularly. And the rest of it, like 20% is regular, and the 80% is rarely used. But on those times come up, and you're like, where did I put that thing? And it's in that 80% bucket. You don't know where it is. You're spending 20 minutes finding it. This is what happens in Opal. You put it in there, and you may not use it for 6 months. But you know what's happening? You're scrolling by it. Your eye sees it. Your brain registers it. You're going to, I know I put some stuff down there. And it costs your brain nothing. It's all happening subconsciously almost. It costs your brain nothing. But every time you use the tool, you are reinforcing a memory about where that 80% of stuff was placed. And this is, coming from somebody who has over 300 items right now on my Opal desk workspace. I can find anything in less than 5 seconds that I haven't touched in 6 months. The world should be beautiful. The world should be made to be put in order. It was actually made chaotic with some order, but some chaos to be put in order. That's why the world was made. And the information that's stored on a computer is an untilled piece of land. It's an unconstructed home. It has no pathways and no nice edging to move the green grass away from the red stone pavement, whatever else. Like it all lacks order. It's tried. It's been attempted. It's pretty rough. And I want to bring order and beauty to every aspect of my life as much as I can. And Opal is my attempt to do that with the information that I work with and need every day.